Hello, everybody, and welcome to my Bay analysis review or video. Just a video in general. This isn't really much of a review, I guess. Well, it is, but whatever, I guess. So, basically, this video, I did something similar like this video that I'm recording right now about 2 years ago. And a lot has changed over the course of 2 years. So I might as well do an updated Beyblade biology review. That's such a weird way of calling it. I don't know why I even called it like that back then, but whatever, I guess. Okay. And basically what Beyblade Burst is that if the bay gets hit by the stadium too hard, like if it hits the stadium too hard, right, or the opponent hits the bay too hard or hits any of its weak spots, this piece will start to turn. Eventually, if the bay keeps getting hit really hard, eventually it's just gonna burst. And that's it, you're done. The opponent has won. Now, the whole point of the game is that you should burst the opponent, which is what I just explained there. A ring out is when the bay just gets knocked out the stadium, or when the bay stops spinning and your bay is still, it's still spinning. You win it by stamina. Stamina. Wow, I can't believe I really screwed that up. So, to get started, we are going to review dual layers. So, what dual layers are very basic, really small. These, technically, in the anime, these were the first ones. But there was a layer series before this, which are known as single layers, but they only show up in the books. So, as you can see, what's really cool about dual layers is that all of them have this circle in the middle, except for Excalibur. And I don't think there's any other bay. Yeah, I think it's just Excalibur that doesn't really have that circle, but still a dual layer. So what it is that it basically is two layers, hence the name. There's one layer here, one layer here. You can't separate them. It's all fused. There's no reason to, anyways. And yeah, it's just basic. Not really much of something special about them. But yeah, so on to the next one. God series, or also known as Swiss Strike or Evolution. There's like a whole bunch of names for these. So basically, what this is that it was a step up from dual layers into introducing gimmicks. Now, we did had a few bays from dual layers that did have gimmicks, but they weren't very noticeable. Now, Swiss Strike, God, or Evolution, whichever you guys want to call it, this season in particular, is that it had gimmicks that were really noticeable, so here we have a Valkyrie, and its gimmick was that it was a spring. When it hits the bay, let's see if I can grab, the dual layer over here. When it hits the bay, it just pushes back. That's pretty much it. It's basically in them introducing gimmicks into the season. There's not really much about these. I'm not really gonna go in depth about. There's a whole bunch of Swiss Strikes, but I'm not gonna really go in depth about these at all. So let's just move on to the next season or series. Where is it? Turbo, or if I'm not mistaken, Cho-Z, the Cho-Z series. Now, Cho-Z, they have gimmicks, some of them anyways, and they gave them more metal. They gave them metal in the layer. Now, we had 2 bays and GT, oh, actually 3 bays, actually, my bad, that actually had metal in them, and that is Excalibur Scalius, right? That one bay, it's a single bay. It's just I'm saying the translation for it. It is dumb. Surprising or Spriggan, and Luinor or Longinus. Those 3 bays actually had metal in their layer, but this entire season is that all of them, and I mean all of them, had metal in the layer. Now, they had gimmicks. Some of them, anyways, like this Phoenix right here, its gimmick was that when, how I explain it is when a bay bursts. But instead of bursting its ring, this ring armor comes off. And then, it's just circular, I guess. It changes its stats in battle, anyways. So, on to the more spicier stuff. We have GT, or Beyblade Burst, Hyper Spear, or Rise, whichever you guys prefer to call it. So what GT is that it is 3 parts. I repeat, 3 parts in the layer. This is them introducing actual parts in the layer that you can take apart. So it's not like, the layer, the force disc, and the driver. No, the layer itself has multiple pieces. So all you gotta do is take these out, and it is 3 whole pieces. 3 whole pieces, which is great because it adds more customization. And yeah, it just adds more customization. This is the metal weight or the layer weight. The Ganchiko chip. I can never say that right. It's the GT chip. You know what? It's just the GT chip and the actual layer itself. Now on to one of my favorite seasons. And believe it or not, I do not own any Beyblades from this season, from Takeratomi anyways. Actually, yes, I do. I do own this Tomb, but it broke on me, sadly. But, So, what Sparking is that... Well, I gotta explain the translations for all the names. Sparking... what else? What else were there? Was it just Sparking? I think it was just Sparking. Oh, no, yeah. And then I forgot the Hasbro name for it, believe it or not. I'm trying to think. What was the Hasbro. If you guys remember what the Hasbro name for Sparking was, go down in the comments. Yeah. Okay. So, Sparking was, again, 3 pieces. This piece was supposed to come out, but, Hasbro is too lazy. This is a Hasbro Fafnir. So, I'm going to show one that actually has the pieces, and I'm just going to put this here because, whatever, I guess it really doesn't matter. So, it had the chip, the layer, and the chassis. So, you just put this together. Of course, I can't put the chip in it. It's a Hasbro one, but you get the idea. It was 3 pieces. It was 3 whole pieces, which is cool, I guess. It was actually one of my favorite seasons so far, and I actually did enjoy some of the Bay designs. Now on to my most favorite season, DB. And this is actually the final season so far. From what I've been hearing, it is the final season. So again, the layer had 3 pieces. So it had the chip itself, a DB chip, So just pop this off. It had the ring, the metal ring. It does have a name for it. I keep forgetting what it's called. And it's the layer. So 3 pieces. Now, what was really cool, right? So if I go back and put this all together again, explaining more about this season in particular, which again was my favorite season so far, alongside Sparking. Is that okay? So you can change the height of the layers. So this is low mode. So low mode is that all the contact is below. So it would essentially, technically, it would just hit the bottom of the layer, of the enemy layer, if the enemy was tall enough anyways. And then it would help mostly for stamina. And then we have high mode, which is the crazy overpowered one. Especially for attack types, it is really good for attack types. I'm telling you now, it's one of the best ones for attack types. High mode. Now, high mode is that it is above. And it is very off balance, I guess you can say. It's pretty off balance, you know. That's pretty much it. It does have heavy weighting. Like, the weight does change somewhat. I don't know, maybe it's just me. But since all the weight is above here, it does give it more attack weight right here on, like, the actual contact points. So, heavy damage, low stamina. So, that's high mode. And when you put it together, this is how high mode looks. It does have a massive gap, but, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is, my good sir. And I'm going to show you what low mode looks like in just a bit. If I can take this out and put it back together. A lot harder for some reason. Usually I can do this a lot quicker, but no, it doesn't let me. And this is low mode, shorter, no gap. So that is essentially explaining the seasons that Beyblade has been through so far. Now, we did have, I will say, 2 remake series, not in the actual anime, but in the toy line. We had the plastic series, which was the first ever. Not like the burst itself, but it was the first. It was one of the first ever series in Beyblade. What started it all? V-Force, and I forgot the other ones. And yeah, they did turn it into a burst Beyblade, which is great. I love how they turn it into a burst Beyblade. These are somewhat weak in terms of burst resistance, so they do lose easily. These are meant for collectible. Same goes for Metal Fusion, one of my favorite ones, by the way. Same go for Metal Fusion, collectible and not tournament wise, but yeah, they did also release Metal Fusion remakes, which is cool. So these are the remakes from the older series. I don't know if they're going to make Shogun Steel remakes. Probably not, since the toy line is probably ending soon. I'm not sure. We haven't had any clarification of that. Hasbro did release a mini-series called Beyblade Burst Minis, or Micros. They're pretty easy to find. You can find them in Walgreens or any pharmacies. I'm not sure if they sell them in like bigger retailers, but basically what it is that they're miniature versions of the dual layers, and I think they did release, if I'm not mistaken, they did release actual evolutions for this, like the evolution Swiss Strike versions of these Micros. So it's nice, you know, Micros, they're not really competitive at all. Why am I saying that? It's common sense. And McDonald's and Burger King and a bunch of other restaurants did release their own Beyblade products. They're not the actual Bays, but they did release their own toys that resemble the Bays. So now explaining what force discs are. These are really cool and interesting, and then we're going to introduce the chassis as well. So why not? They actually do have some significance. And we're gonna get these involved. Okay. Now, on to the first forge disc. We have the dual layer and single layer forge disc, which were very basic, really light, and they were pretty heavy for its time. Like, at its time, it was actually pretty heavy. Believe it or not. These were, the thing back then. Now they really get outclassed in terms of weight and, attack power. So, yeah, they were really basic. Nothing really special about them. That being said, we go on to the next one. And where is it? Yes, framed disc. So, these discs were introduced during God series, or Evolution series, or Swiss Strike series, whichever you guys want to call it. So, basically, you can put things like this, like these frames, onto any of the ones that have like these numbers. They all have numbers. There is some that don't require to have a number, if I'm not mistaken. No, actually, come to think of no. I think, yeah, no, actually, because they didn't release. No, yeah, it's just the number ones that actually need a frame, from what I can remember. It's just the number ones. So, yeah, they're just frames. They add some cool decorations. Some of them are cosmetics. Some of them are actually really good. And tournaments, it's great. It actually does help the Bay a lot in terms of defense, attack, stamina. So here we have wall. This is for defense. Gives it more of the wall look. It's literally in the name. More defense. And then we got a GT. Basically, this is a GT forge disc. This was introduced during GT, Rise, and Hyperspear. No, my bad. I just missed one. No, we gotta go back here. We gotta go here. Zenith. Zenith was one of the few discs that actually had gimmicks and were fused. I think this was actually one of the first few discs. I know there was a disc back in dual layers that came with Ischalius, and I forgot the name of the other Beyblade. It's one of the more lighter bays out there. So it actually did feature gimmicks. So the whole gimmick was that it had rubber, and then some forge discs actually have other different things. But just to clarify that actually came during Turbo and Josie. So that's great. Now going to the GT one. GT, basically it featured, like, it's literally just a forge disc, but instead of like the frame, if I can find the frame, I don't know where I just put the frame. Whatever. No, actually, no, it's right here. So the frame, instead of like the frame being a separate piece, it was fused with it. So, it's cool. Design-wise, it's really cool. Yeah. Not much being said there. And then we have sparking. So I do not have an actual sparking force disc because I do not own that many sparking bays. And some of which I don't know which box I put them in. So I was kind of in a hurry. I only own like 2-3 of them. I never really got into sparking. I never really brought any sparking bays. Except for, the Hasbro ones, because they're easier to get. I was pretty against delivering, getting deliveries. So, sparking, again, it has the whole frame thing fused to it, so it just adds some more cosmetic look. And also, it sometimes does help with the performance of the bay. Then we move on to the chassis. Not much of a forge disc, but, it's kind of great, I guess. It's good. I'm kind of rushing through this, as you guys can notice. And then we have a DB disc, a dynamite disc. So this basically, it is supposed to help. It's supposed to be like this. So like, okay, yeah, we have high mode. So high mode looks like this, as you can see. And then if I were to put it on a bay that's in low mode, you don't see it anymore. The gap's gone. That's literally the whole thing, and they're a lot heavier and a lot bigger. What else? I think that pretty much covers. We can go to drivers now. And no, I think that's a good amount of drivers. Yeah, I'm fine here. So drivers. So we are going to move on to stamina type drivers. Now, some stamina type drivers are round on top. They have tips like that, and some of them actually featured, some of them, not all of them, have gimmicks that help with stamina. So like we have Claw here that has these wings that go up. It helps with stamina. Stamina just, it's literally just about stamina at a point. I don't know how many times I just said stamina. I just said it again. Now we have defense drivers. Defense drivers are rounder, but a little bit more wider, I guess you can say. They have gimmicks sometimes that help with not being knocked down easily. They don't go off balance, but they don't have their stamina isn't the greatest, but they're not meant for stamina. They're meant to fend off attacks from attack types or any enemy base in general. Now, attack drivers are mostly flat. Most of them are flat or just rubber flats. Bad stamina, but they do go really fast around the stadium. And yeah, that's pretty much it. The attack drivers are just really good with speed and really bad with stamina. They're good for attacks mostly. That's literally what it's all about. And yeah, some actual drivers do feature gimmicks, such as this evolution, or not evolution. I don't know why I just said evolution. Yeah, it has that. This is a reboot. My bad. Yeah, I was trying to think what the name was. So reboot. Yeah, the whole gimmick was that when it's going really fast, right? Or when you launch it, this goes up, right? This pops up. Helps with stamina, and then when it eventually runs out of stamina, it becomes an all flat. Same with this other reboot. This is an older reboot. This is the reboot evolution. Yeah, drivers do have evolutions. Not all of them, but they do have them. Now on to balance types. So balance types are generate tips. I cannot say that right for some reason. I'm so bad at that. So yeah, ignore me. So basically, what balance types are is that they all basically they exceed in all the typing, stamina, defense, attack. They're in between everything. They're balanced. Their stats are balanced. There's really not much about it. Same with this extend. Most of them, feature gimmicks that can switch between types, but it's just they're good in all of them. They do have sometimes their weaknesses, but they're just good. I just gotta take off my glasses for a bit. Now, drivers sometimes do feature these chips. Not all of them, but they feature 2 parts sometimes. Just to be more specific, that help with the driver overall, like upgrades, which is cool. Same with force discs. I didn't really explain that. Force discs do also have upgrades, such as this Nexus with these gears. So I think overall, actually no, there's one more, and then I should wrap this video up because it's already been gone long enough. So Beyblades do, Hasbro and Takara Tomy, they do have other competitors, other third-party companies that sell fake Beyblades, bootlegged Beyblades from China. They're very noticeable. So here we have a Flame brand Phoenix. I'm using the Hasbro ring for Phoenix because it broke, actually. So that's how bad it is. It broke the first launch. And here we have a Takara Tomy Phoenix. So, big difference. I'm going to take the rings off. Because obviously that's a big difference. So, this is Takara Tomy. This is Flame brand. And basically it's the quality. So this is like lead. This is actual metal, very hollow, doesn't weigh that much. This does have weight, and they're very low quality. They can break easy. I do not recommend buying fakes at all. Don't buy fakes. If you want to buy fakes, do it for mods and stuff, so you can sacrifice them. I do not recommend them. But see, there's a big difference between fakes and Takara Tomy and Hasbro. There's a really big difference, and you can tell right away. And sometimes the parts don't stay true at all. Also, if you notice, the bolts are a star, or not a star, a plus sign, a 4-corner one. And this is a 3-corner one, which is impossible to unscrew unless you have special pieces. This one, you can unscrew it. It's really easy with the screws. So that's very noticeable. And older Beyblades have these special screws. So that's how you know. All the Beyblades that are sold by Takara Tomy and Hasbro have special screws. Fake companies have these terrible screws that can be opened by any screwdriver that are very common. The common screwdrivers. So I think that pretty much wraps everything up. I don't think I have much to explain. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it has gone on long enough. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe. Put down in the comments whatever you guys want for me to do in the future, and how to improve my videos. So anyways, peace out.